Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal, and this is the latest transfer news. We are live and we are going to be covering the latest on Smith Rowe and Nketiah. Could they be on their way, both of them, to Fulham? That would be very, very surprising. I mean, it's something that could happen, but it would be very surprising if they both ended up at the same team in the same transfer window. Or could Nketiah be heading to Everton? We'll be talking about that. And also, Aston Villa have made Douglas Luiz available and Arsenal are ready to make the offer. So let's cover all that. Let me know what you make about everything that you talk about. Hit the like button as always, and let's get straight into it. Let's start with the latest on Douglas Luiz. Now, Douglas Luiz is not a player that this is the first time we're being linked to him. Absolutely not. We've been linked to Douglas Luiz for quite a long time. 2022, the deadline day in 2022, we actually made an offer for him, a 20 million offer for him at that time, and it got rejected. Now, since then, up to now, Douglas Luiz has improved as a player. Aston Villa have improved as a team, so his value has gone even more up. So if they rejected at 20 million all the years back, right now, you'd expect it to be like 50, 60 million, maybe even more. But this is what we're being told by reports. Arsenal have a strong interest in Douglas Luiz, whose contract ends in 2026, and renewal with Aston Villa is stalling. So it looks like he's not going to sign a new contract. Aston Villa need to sell an important player to comply with PSR rules. That's profit and sustainability rules, and value him at over 50 million euros. So that's actually quite less. I thought it would be more than that. I thought if we ever going to get Douglas Luiz, it would be like 60, 65 million, but absolutely no brainer. If Douglas Luiz is available for 50 million euros, that could be around 40 million pounds. I would 100% get him, whether we keep Partey or we sell Partey. I don't know. Even if Partey stays, I'd love to have someone like a Douglas Luiz at Arsenal for that amount of money. If you have the options of Douglas Luiz and you also have the option of getting, you still have Jorginho, you still have Rice, you still have Partey in the team. That would benefit us a lot. And Douglas Luiz, Premier League experience, is a player been linked to for over 2 years, and Matcha really likes him. I think we were first linked to him after he scored against us straight from a corner. So he would be a very good player to add. All the other players that you're linked to in terms of midfield, players like Bruno Guimaraes, he would cost more than 100 million. Zubimendi around 60 million or something. And any other midfielders if you're linked to right now, as you saw, Man City want Paqueta. Paqueta is a lot of money. We signed Declan Rice for a lot of money. Man City, who else do you want to see? I mean, if you want to buy a player right now, they would have to pay a lot of money. Same with Arsenal, same with all of those guys. Even Tottenham signing Bissouma. There's one I'm forgetting. All these players are expensive. If you can get gems like McAllister and maybe a Douglas Luiz, that can work out for you. So will Arsenal make that 50 million euros? Now, if he's available, I would not be surprised if Arteta goes for him. I'd not be surprised at all. Do I want him to Arteta to go for him? 100%. Now, everyone's priority is a striker. I want a striker as well, but my priority is to get a midfielder. I want us to get a striker, yes, but I want a midfielder as well, because we don't want to start the season again next season. First game of the season, let's say it's Ipswich at home. We play that game, and then Partey gets injured again. We're in deep trouble. If Partey gets injured again next season, I don't want the situation where we have to play Jorginho and Rice every single game. Jorginho Rice, Jorginho Rice, Jorginho Rice. Yes, Rice can play as a number 6. You can have different options in the number 8, but I want an extra midfielder there, because you need numbers. Man City have the likes of Rodri, Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, Foden, and many, many others who can play those 4 or 5 midfield roles. We need numbers as well. And Douglas Luiz would be a good addition to the Arsenal team. And he can rotate. Now, from that situation, he can even maybe not even play Partey every single day. You can rotate him here and there so that he doesn't get injured. And next season, there's more Champions League games, and I want us to go far in the Carabao Cup, far in the FA Cup, and you need a squad. You don't want to be stranded when one player picks up an injury. So Douglas Luiz, 50 million euros, I would 100% get him, and I would not be surprised to see us making an offer for this. But of course, a player like this, you would not be able to make an offer for him if he ended up signing someone like an Osimhen. You're going to talk about him later. If you sign someone like Osimhen, you're not going to get Douglas Luiz as well. You're going to have to get Osimhen and then maybe a 25 million midfielder, and that's it. Those will be your 2 signings. But if they stick with Sesko and then keep the balance, keep the change, they can go and get Douglas Luiz, they can go and get 2-3 more players. So that's why I said they have to really decide who they want to go for. Is it Osimhen and one more signing, that's it? Or go for 4-5 signings, forget about Osimhen and sign Sesko, and then that can help you get other players in. Because for me, Douglas Luiz, I would take him 100%. But let me know, would you guys take Douglas Luiz? Yes or no? For me, I would. Even if Partey stayed, I would still take Douglas Luiz, have that option. If Partey ended up leaving sometime this transfer window, and we're hearing that the star doesn't really want to push him out and Partey doesn't really want to go, so he might end up staying up until next year. We don't. We might end up needing 2 midfielders, and in that situation, you're not able to get players like Douglas Luiz, or if you've already spent the money on Osimhen. So let's see how that one goes. Let me see what you guys are saying before I go to the players that have been linked to the move away. Mashek says Luiz is a good player. Nice seeing you, Mashek. All you see in the comments. Moa says he's a good player. Let's see. I wish Mikel Arteta should just loan Smith Rowe. You can talk about that one as well. Michaela says in love with the updates. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching as always. Now, next up, let's go. Make sure to hit the like button if you're enjoying the content. Let's go to the big news that is coming out today. That is on Nketiah and Emil Smith Rowe. Let's start with Nketiah because we are kind of expecting him to leave. I think it would just be beneficial for his career as well, because at this moment, there's a lot of things that are not going his way. Like every time Nketiah comes on the pitch, you hear fans saying, "Oh, whatever. Why is he coming to the pitch? We don't really want him. What is he going to do against?" So, and it gets to that stage where the fans have no hope in terms of you entering the pitch, that's a concern. And number two, when you start hearing your team is being linked to several players, you're being linked to Sesko, you're being linked to Osimhen, you're being linked to Gyökeres, Havertz is already in the team, Jesus is already in the team. I don't see where Nketiah plays, honestly. Like, even for his own career, even if Arsenal wanted to keep him, let's say Arsenal wanted to keep Nketiah, where does he play? I don't think it would be beneficial for his career to stay at all. I do not see the reason for him to stay at all. So we kind of have to move him on. Again, I'm still not 100% sure if Arteta really wants him to go. I think if you still ask Arteta, do you want Nketiah to stay? It'd still probably say 55% yes, I want him to stay. But this is the news that is coming out. Let's start with this one first. Arsenal are reluctantly set to let Nketiah leave. Exactly. Reluctant. They're not so sure, but they're like, okay, it looks like we might have to let you go, but we didn't want you to let you go. So I guess that's what they're thinking in the club. Nketiah leave the club this summer. Sunspot can reveal that Fulham are in pole position and would be willing to pay up to 30 million, but are likely to see competition from Crystal Palace and Wolves. So that is from Kellen Hughes, not Jones. I don't know where the hell I got Jones from. Do you guys think 30 million is a good amount for Nketiah? Would you be happy if we got the 30 million for Nketiah, or do you think that's too little, or do you actually think that's quite a lot? You actually expected us to get less than that? Let me know, because for me, 30 million for Nketiah, I would take it. I would take it. We didn't sign him. We didn't have to pay any money for him when he joined Arsenal. That is a profit, as they always say. Make profits the way Chelsea tried to do with players like Gallagher and those kind of players. You have to try and make profits. Now, Nketiah, it's a hard one. I still personally believe if he goes to a different team, I still believe Nketiah, if he plays 38 games out of 38, I seriously believe he can get goals wherever he plays. I believe he can get at least 15 Premier League goals. Whether he goes to a Wolves or goes to a West Ham or goes to a Brighton, I do think he can score goals. But the problem is the level that Arsenal is going to, the level that you're trying to reach, the things we're trying to achieve, I don't think is the answer. Now, if he played 38 games out of 38, can he still score 12, 13 goals? Yes, he can. But for Arsenal, do we really trust him to do that, the levels that you're trying to achieve? I don't think so. So the best thing for him is probably to move on. And we are being linked to strikers. Havertz is here. One thing you need to make live with right now, I think Havertz is definitely going to start games next season. So if you think Havertz is going to be on the bench next season, I don't think that is going to happen. That's why I'm thinking, if Osimhen comes in, where does Havertz play? Are we going to take him back to midfield? Havertz is definitely going to start games next season. So we already have that one concluded. On top of that, Jesus, you're not sure if he's going to stay or leave, but let's say he stays. And then we sign either Sesko or Osimhen. Some even talking about both of them. So where does Nketiah fit there? Absolutely nowhere. Like between February and May, I think Nketiah came off the bench like maybe twice. there's a time he was playing a lot of games. Before that, the year and 2 years before that, Nketiah was playing a lot. Nketiah began the season for us. He scored our first goal of the season. There's a time he was our top scorer, and it was looking like he was ahead of Jesus a few times, and he was enjoying himself. He scored a hat-trick against Sheffield. But the moment he hit January and came back from Dubai, Nketiah never really played, unfortunately. And even when he needed a goal, he didn't come on at all. At least even for Smith Rowe, I saw him coming on a couple of games and starting a couple of games, like against Luton. Even Nelson started against Luton. Even Vieira came in a couple of times. Nketiah literally just got a few minutes against Bayern Munich. I think in the line we were desperate the last 5 minutes, and then we threw in Nketiah. So I think for him, would you guys be happy with the 30 million? For me, I think he should move on. I don't hate him as a player. I know there's also some Arsenal fans who completely hate him and think he's completely crap. Personally, I don't think so. I feel like he goes to a team where he's going to get chances. Yes, he's going to miss and going to annoy you, but he can still pull 12 to 15 goals in the league. He's used to it. He's been playing there for a long time. Now, Fulham are interested in paying 30 million. Crystal Palace and Wolves want him as well. Now, which one would be a good fit for him? I've always pictured Nketiah at Crystal Palace. I always feel like he's going to do well there. But since the likes of Mateta are now playing and all that, listen, all these players who've come from Haaland, even if they leave Arsenal, I want them to do well wherever they go. Some other players who leave Arsenal, I'm like, whatever, wherever they go, I don't care. I don't have to mention names. You probably know those players. But for someone like Nketiah or Smith Rowe, if they end up leaving, I want them to do well wherever they're going because they've been here for a long time. They're Arsenal fans and all that. So which team would I want him to end up there? Wolves have been looking for a striker for many, many years. I feel like if he goes there, he would start games and maybe can have an impact. Crystal Palace, he would be on the bench probably. Holding went there, and I've not seen Holding playing a single game for Crystal Palace. I don't think he played the whole season. For Fulham would be good, but they have few players there. They have players like Muniz, and Jimenez is still there. So Broja was there on loan, so I don't think he would play there every single day. Now, if you think 30 million is not enough, or you think, do you think 30 million is actually too much more than you expected? I thought teams would offer us like 22, 23 million, to be honest, because he's not played, even though he scores Premier League goals, and he scored against the likes of Chelsea, he scored against Man United in the last minute, so he still has, something to show in terms of his Premier League career, and he's been part of this team. So I think anyone that comes from the Arteta team right now, this thing that we've built right now, I think they'll take something to wherever they're going, because they've been now used to this winning every single week, and this culture that we have. So there'll be important players in any team that they go. But if Fulham don't end up paying that money, or Arsenal end up rejecting that, what else can we do? Can we take Nketiah on loan? Well, Everton want Nketiah on loan. Everton are also interested in a potentially a long loan, an option which could appeal to Arsenal. Could it though? Could it appeal to Arsenal loan deal? We'll talk about that. If any club, but there are hopes that if any clubs want Nketiah, they can start a bidding war that can drive the final price for him to decent levels. This is also according to the Sun. Now, if you get a bidding war for Nketiah, that would be a dream as well. Whichever player that you're trying to sell, if you get a bidding war, it's always us getting into bidding wars for players like Declan Rice. Let's get those other teams into a bidding war so that they can all fight for Nketiah. They can get that 540 million. Happy days. They can use that money elsewhere. But a loan deal, I'm surprised that they say it could be beneficial for Arsenal. Why though? The only thing I can think of is if Nketiah was worth like 20 million right now, and then you feel if we take him to like an Everton or Crystal Palace on loan, and then he goes there and he scores 15 Premier League goals, and that team ends up finishing in the top 10, then you can say, listen, he's come to your team and he's scored goals, he's been your top scorer, he's taken you up the table. Now you can pay that 40 million. Maybe a team can be like, yeah, Nketiah has really helped us. You're going to get that 40 million. That is the only situation of a loan deal can help you in terms of what I'm thinking with Nketiah. But for me, usually loan deals, I look at them for three reasons. A loan deal for me is for a younger player who's come from the academy, someone like a Nwaneri. We think we're not going to give him game time. Okay, let's send him to Ipswich this season, 4 or 5 months, maybe until January. Let's see how he does. Any other player as well, any young player that is coming to the team, even a Marquinhos, when he signed him, you can send him on loan to the Championship like we did, let him get used to England, and let's see how he does. And then he can come back. If he's ready, he comes back. That is the number one reason for me if you want to take a player on loan. Number two for me is if a player is coming back from an injury, because I think was it Wilshere Ramsey? I think it was Ramsey. I think Ramsey came back from an injury and sent him out on loan, if I'm not wrong. After Ramsey had broken his leg, I think we sent him out on loan after that. So correct me if I'm wrong. So for a player who's coming back from a long-term injury, and you really don't see him competing at the top level, and you're currently competing at the top level, you can send him out on loan for 5 months or the whole season, and then he comes back ready to go for the entire season. That would be the second reason. Or the third reason for sending someone on loan could be a player like Marquinhos again. If a player is coming from Brazil, or a player is coming from, I don't know, Saudi Arabia or Australia or South Africa, I don't know, and they're not really ready, they're not really adapted to the English Premier League, and you need them to give them time to adapt to the Premier League in England in general, the weather, the food, the culture, all that. Then you send them out on loan to get to learn a few things here and there. But for Nketiah, does Nketiah fit any of those things I've said? Nketiah is not a young player looking for experience. He's been here for 6-7 years. He's not an injured player who's going to get more game time elsewhere. He's also not a player who's new to England who's going to come and get some getting to know of the culture here and there. He doesn't fit any of those bills. The only reason you can send him on loan if you're trying to up his value. So I'm surprised that the Sun is saying Arsenal, that deal could appeal to us, and that would be interesting. Let's see. Do you guys think a loan deal will really help Nketiah? And will it really help us on top of that? Because for me, I feel like no. In terms of money, we want the money right now so that you can buy a midfielder, so that you can buy a backup for Saka, so that we can potentially get the Sesko and Osimhen deals through the line, whichever you're going to get. We need the money right now. I don't think a loan deal appeals to us. And again, if you send him out on loan, what if he goes and does poorly at Everton or another team? Then his value drops even more, and then you're basically stuck with him because no other team would want him. So for me, loan deal, no. But if it's the 30 million from Fulham and Crystal Palace or Wolves, that's absolutely fine. I would take that money. I'll take that money because for his own sake, and also for our own sake, I think it's time for him to move on. Literally, there's 95% of Arsenal fans who don't want him here, and from that 95%, at least half of them actually are disgusted when Nketiah comes on the pitch. So I don't think it's a good thing to have a good thing to have for him in the team. I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else. I do think the same thing about players like Rashford at Man United. I think those are players who need a fresh start somewhere else, go and grow somewhere else and see how it goes. And the levels you're trying to achieve, if you're going to win, get fine the Champions League and win it, get fine the Premier League and finally beat Man City to it, I think we need players to compete with Man City, and we need to keep on improving the team. We can't go backwards. That's why when I hear we are linked to players like Chesney and players like that, I'm like, no, we are pushing forward. You need to keep on improving the team. If it doesn't work out, you get another striker. If it doesn't work out, you add another midfield. If it doesn't work out, you add another right back. You add another centre back. You have to keep on going until you can finally beat Man City. We're not winning the league right now, not because Arsenal is not a good team, because there's Man City. If Man City wasn't there, we have 2 Premier League titles to our name. So to compete with them, we have to keep on improving the team. And for some reason, if we want to ever compete for the Champions League, if you're ever going to come up against Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham, Valverde, Camavinga, you'll need a team. You'll need a very serious team in there. And if I ask you right now, if we are losing 2-0 to Madrid in a Champions League semi-final, would you bring Nketiah? I think most of you would say no. So I think it's beneficial for him to move on. But again, as I said, I love all the Hell-End players. I don't want him to just go wherever. I want him to go somewhere, and I want him to go and do well. So all the best to him. Now, another player who could end up leaving Arsenal is Emil Smith Rowe. Now, this one will hurt. This one, I think, will hurt me more than the Nketiah one. I've always felt that maybe we can see something. Maybe we can see the 2021 Smith Rowe, but will we? I don't know. So this is the latest news on Emil Smith Rowe. Fulham again. Fulham. It's Fulham again. Fulham have made Emil Smith Rowe one of their summer transfer priorities and are ready to bid for the player early in the window. A sale would represent pure profit for Arsenal from a profit and sustainability perspective. That is according to Mike McGrath. So Fulham want both Nketiah and Smith Rowe. If they give us 70 million, I think 60 million or 70 million people will take it. I mean, just imagine, next season we play Fulham, the same team, Fulham and Aston Villa, the 2 teams that ruined our season twice, home and away. imagine Nketiah and Smith Rowe go to Fulham, and then next season they beat us 1-0 and Smith Rowe, assists Nketiah. That would kill me, man. That would absolutely destroy me. And Smith Rowe assists Nketiah goal, and you damn sure know that was going to happen. We've seen Fabregas scoring, we've seen Van Persie scoring, we've seen Giroud scoring, we've seen all of those players scoring against us. And Smith Rowe and Nketiah going there and scoring against us would probably hurt more than Van Persie scoring against us for Man United. But Smith Rowe is linked by Fulham. How much are they willing to pay? They're talking about 25 million or something like that. Now for Emil Smith Rowe, I've listened to what you guys have had to say, because the last couple of days we've done videos on Smith Rowe, and I've seen your comments, and I've had Cozzy's opinions on him. I've seen people's opinions on him on Twitter and stuff. Some people do feel like, why are you guys so, why do you not want like Smith Rowe to leave? He's not even good enough. There's some people who feel like, nah, Smith Rowe is not even good enough. Why do you guys love him so much? There's some people who feel that way. There's some people who feel he's always injured. Why do you want him to stay anyway? There's some people who feel like, okay, he's never going to play him. Why do you keep him? Just sell him. Some people feel like we need that money for Emil Smith Rowe and all that. So all that could be true. All that could be true. I still feel like he's a very good player. My thought was, can we use him next season in terms of, Odegaard plays a lot of games. I don't think anyone can do what Odegaard does for Arsenal in terms of the pressing and the ball control and the technique in midfield and the creating of chances. I don't think anyone can do that in our team. But I was thinking, listen, a couple of games, Arsenal is leading 2-0, 2-0, 3-0. Can we take off Smith Rowe? Can we take off Odegaard and bring on Smith Rowe for the last 20 minutes? And then I was also holding on to the performance he had against Luton. I know it's just Luton, but against Luton, he came in, he got an assist, and he also got a pre-assist. And it's not just any kind of goal. On that day, we saw Smith Rowe, pressing and winning the ball back for us, and then I think giving the ball to Havertz, and then Havertz to Odegaard, and then we scored from Emil Smith Rowe's pressing. And then on the final day, when he needed to win the title, or we needed to win the game to have a chance of winning the title, Smith Rowe actually came on and he played and he hit the post. So if Arteta didn't trust him at all, would he really have brought in Smith Rowe like off the bench in that particular game? And whenever everyone is fit in this Arsenal team, you usually see some players missing out on the bench. Cedric, El Neni, Nelson also misses out on the from the bench, but mostly Smith Rowe is always on the bench. He rarely misses out on the bench, even if he doesn't play. So I'm kind of holding on to that in the 2021-2022 season. Maybe some of you feel like it's not good enough. Fair enough. I personally feel like it's good enough, but maybe in terms of the way we play and the players that we have currently, maybe it's not. Maybe it could not be. It's not the answer, but that 2021-22 season, man, even the season before that, I saw this guy and Saka come into this Arsenal team and saving us. They basically saved Arsenal. We were finished, man. We were losing every single game. Smith Rowe and Saka came into this team and they basically helped us, They basically built, they basically dug the soil before we built the house, him and Saka. They basically did that for us. And it would hard to see him leave, but would it be beneficial for him to leave? Probably. Now, that is the team that wants him. I can also read this first part of this. Also, we listened to offers for Emil Smith Rowe this summer after falling out of favor under Mikel Arteta. So I think the player himself, because we've also heard that the player himself does not really want to leave Arsenal because he really loves Arsenal. He's an Arsenal fan. So he's not 100% sure yet about leaving Arsenal. So that particular reason can be the reason why, he doesn't want to leave right now. It takes time to make the decision because he's not really sure about leaving Arsenal anyway. So it's going to take a bit of time. Personally, I would still keep him at Arsenal for next season or until January and see how it goes. But after we had this as well, that Fabio Vieira is expected to stay at Arsenal. Fabio Vieira is one of the players Arsenal are happy to sell for the right. Is not one of the players Arsenal are happy to sell for the right price this summer. Then I start thinking, well. If Fabio Vieira is going to stay, where does Smith Rowe fit in? Because that probably means Vieira is going to be like the backup to, Odegaard and sometimes Saka. Smith Rowe usually plays on the left side or the left side on the midfield. Declan Rice is there, especially if we end up signing Douglas Luiz or we end up signing another midfielder and Partey stays and Rice has to play as a number 8, then where does Smith Rowe play? Left side, you have Martinelli and you have Trossard. And if you sign Sesko is also going to play on that side some games. So where does Smith Rowe stay? Fill in? Unless he's happy to really be on the bench or he's convinced that Arsenal is going to go far in the competitions like the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. That is my dream. I want Smith Rowe to stay and play the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup and help us because there's still some qualities there. but maybe some of you feel like the qualities are not enough for Arsenal, maybe for his sake as well. Just like Nketiah, I want both of them to do well in their careers. They're Arsenal fans. They have been here for a long time. They're like 2017, 2018. I want him to go and do well, but I would want him to stay. But if Fulham come in with an offer of 30 million, would you sell him to Fulham? Would you be happy to let Smith Rowe go to Fulham, or would you want to keep him at Arsenal? We have to wait and see as well, because it's a tough one, man. We at the end of the day, I'm an Arsenal fan. You're an Arsenal fan. We are not fans of players. I love Odegaard. I love Saliba. I love Smith Rowe. I love all of those players. I love Ramsdale, man. I was the first person to say I was almost in tears when I heard that Ramsdale was going to be replaced, because I really loved Ramsdale. We also loved Van Persie. We also loved Nasri before everything. We also loved Fabregas. We also loved Walcott. We loved Rosicki, you know. But eventually those players leave, and we are still here as Arsenal fans. So you cannot really, even Aubameyang, there's a time Aubameyang, like, connection with fans was always there. Like, we felt like we've never seen anything like this. But eventually he left, and we are still supporting Arsenal. So at the end of the day, these players are going to leave, and you're still going to support Arsenal. So let's see which team they're going to end up in. It could be Premier League teams. It looks like it's going to be Premier League teams for both Nketiah. Nketiah is being linked to, can I remember the teams again? Fulham, Wolves, Crystal Palace, and also Everton want Nketiah. And for Smith Rowe, Fulham, and also Aston Villa want him. So if Smith Rowe goes to Aston Villa, I'm not sure. As I said on the earlier show today in the morning, I don't think Smith Rowe, if he goes to Aston Villa, I don't know if he plays. They've just signed Barkley. They have Tielemans, they have Kamara, they have Douglas Luiz if he stays. Buendia is going to come back next season. They have Ramsey coming back next season. There is Bailey, there is Diaby. Where does Smith Rowe play there? So for his own sake, if it's Aston Villa you're picking, then you rather stay at Arsenal, because Aston Villa is still going to be on the bench. So rather stay at Arsenal, you know, grow your career more. But another option for Smith Rowe, just like Nketiah, is a loan deal. Do you think a loan deal will be beneficial for Emil Smith Rowe, or do you think it's just selling? Let's just sell him and forget about him. Because if Fabio Vieira is going to stay, then I'm struggling to see where Smith Rowe fits. But for me, if it was my choice, I'd keep him and use him as a backup for Odegaard some games. And then because I've seen some pressing from him. I don't think anyone can do what Odegaard does anyway in terms of levels, but I also don't want Odegaard to play 60 games out of 60. I want him to rest in some of those games. So that's the latest on adding Nketiah and Emil Smith Rowe, and also Douglas Luiz. If you're just joining, this was the update on Douglas Luiz. Arsenal have a strong interest in Douglas Luiz, whose contract ends in 2026, and renewal with Aston Villa is stalling. Aston Villa need to sell an important player to comply with PSR rules and value him at 50 million euros. For me, it's a no-brainer. If Douglas Luiz is available for 50 million euros, that's around 40 million pounds. I'm signing him today, 100%. I want my priorities a midfielder. I want another midfielder in that team, followed by a striker. That is what I want. So if you can get a midfielder to help out Partey and to help out Jorginho and to help out Rice in that midfield, have enough numbers, that is great. Because some games, there's a game where Partey was not there and Jorginho was also not there, and we basically had to play Rice in the number 6. Maybe in that particular game, the plan was to play Rice as the number 8 and play someone else in the number 6. We need different options. Even for someone like a Liverpool in midfield, they have a lot of options. Jones, Elliott, McAllister, Endo, Gravenberch, and a few others in that midfield. Like, you know, I know Man City's our direct competition, but Liverpool could be up there as well. So we need to have numbers in terms of midfield. I want a striker, yes, but I still feel like striker is our second priority, because we still score 90 plus goals without a striker. But I still want a striker, but I want a midfielder first. So that is why when we're talking about Osimhen, I'm like, 130 million on Osimhen, and then we don't sign a midfielder, we don't sign a winger, a backup for Saka. I think it's very dangerous to go into another season without a backup for Partey and a backup for Saka. I think it would be suicidal, because if Partey gets injured again and Saka, maybe last season he missed a few games with the injury, or he gets tired again, and we are looking at Jesus as the backup, and Jesus can also get injured anytime. I'm not sure we can depend on all that. So that's let me see. Okay, there's one part I forgot to read. That's the last part of, is it this one or this one? I think it's this one. So before I'm going to come to your comments, Arsenal will also consider offers for other fringe players like Nketiah. We've spoken about that. Ramsdale and Kieran Tierney. So Ramsdale, we know about that one. And Kieran Tierney will definitely leave Arsenal. There is no way Kieran Tierney is going to stay at Arsenal. The others, you can say there's a 10% chance Nketiah could stay. There's a 10% chance Smith Rowe can stay. Maybe, I think for Smith Rowe, there's like a 30% chance he could end up staying. But for someone like Tierney, I think it's 100% he's going. There's no way he's going to play. Kiwi is still here. Zinchenko is still here. Both of them have been linked with moves away, but at the moment they're still here. Tomiyasu is still here. Timber is still here. And we are being linked to a left-sided defender. I don't see where Tierney plays out. Tierney is a great servant. Tierney is one of those players like I don't think any Arsenal fan would hate. Very good servant of the team. But the injury is kind of cost him. I still wonder if he never got injured, if he would ever signed Zinchenko. Maybe if Tierney was fully fit, maybe he'd have been our defender up until today. But unfortunately, those injuries really cost him his Arsenal career. And in terms of the playing style as well, I think we've really evolved. We've really evolved to the point where some of you are looking at the team and you're like, Jesus can't even fit into this team. And Jesus joined literally like last year. So that's how quickly we've moved on. Let me see what you guys are saying. Amashek had earlier said at should loan Smith Rowe. Fortune says Nketiah to Fulham is a great deal, but let's bring in Sesko. How much did you guys want for Nketiah and Smith Rowe? He's a good player, says well, Nketiah to Fulham will be a good deal, but they should sell him for around 45. There's no chance we can get 45. Now, the only way that could happen, Kipotich, that is if Nketiah goes on loan and then he performs well and then he scores 15, 16 goals and then he comes back and then we have to sell him after that for a lot of money. Yes, but right now, I don't know. I know other teams usually find a way to sell players who don't even play for 45, 50 million, but from Nketiah 45 million, I don't think anyone will pay that. I'll be very surprised if anyone comes and pays that. Mashek says Luiz is a good player. Cookie, nice thing here, bro. Don't let Emil go. Eddie can go for 30 and I'd sign Douglas Luiz as a Rice backup in the 8. And sign a proper 6 like a Kimmich to start ahead of Jorginho Partey sold. Wow. So I don't think you're the only one who wants Partey sold. Personally, wanting to stay. If he gets injured again, I would get rid of him in January. But I want him to stay. But I want another midfield as well so that they mix in terms of game time because you can't depend on Partey. Let's not lie to ourselves because there's a very big chance he could play the first game and then he's injured. And I think there's an AFCON in January, if I'm not wrong. So if there is, I think he also misses that part of the season if he goes to Ghana. So you have to have someone else in that midfield. But I see what you're saying. Now, that's another thing. If Kimmich is available, would you guys sell Partey to get Kimmich? Because Kimmich is younger and more experienced in terms of winning things and stuff. That's an interesting one. Get Kimmich and Douglas Luiz and get rid of Partey. Whew. That's an interesting one, Cookie. I probably would do it because Kimmich is younger and Partey is 30-something is about to finish his career. So I think in terms of business, and in terms of looking into the future, you have to do that. But it makes sense. Douglas Luiz first. For me, I would get Douglas Luiz, and then I keep Partey. That would be it. I'd keep Jorginho, Partey, and Douglas Luiz as my midfield together with Rice. AJ says, I would love to see Havertz as key first team player. I think you're going to see it. I don't think Havertz is going to be on the bench. I think he's still going to start a lot of games. Although I still think he's going to play a few games in midfield, even though we don't like it, I still think he's going to play a few games in midfield to allow whichever striker we sign to play up front. Cookie says Kimmich's contract is up in 2025 and apparently Barcelona want him. We have to push for that deal and if not, look at other options at a similar level. Can't accept mediocrity. Makes sense. We need to push Man City. You have to keep on pushing. If you're going to get 95 points or something, you have to have a very good squad, and that could mean getting international players like Kimmich and Osimhen. He's a good player. I like him. Who do you want, Luiz or definitely Douglas Luiz? I want the Premier League player. I know Ball has been linked. I know players like Fofana have been linked, but for me, David Luiz. Oh no, I definitely do not want David Luiz at Arsenal. Jesus Christ, no. Hell no, man. David Luiz had one good season at Arsenal, but the other one was horrific. He gave penalties every single game. But Douglas Luiz, I definitely want him. I'll take him. And then Brazil as well. You have a lot of Brazilians fit in perfectly. I can take Luiz than Bruno. Bruno is expensive. He's like basically more than half what Douglas Luiz would cost. Eddie for 30's mental would always take that. He's probably worth 20-25. That's what I'm saying as well. I think if they would give me 25, I'd take it. So someone said 45. That's a lot of money. Moyen says Luiz is fake news. It is fake news. It is fake news. Yeah, I'm here to report fake news. Bright says I can take Luiz. I read that one as well. AJ says, what about Tomiyasu, the man's class? Tomiyasu has to stay. I'm worried about his injuries. But he doesn't have to play every single day. If Timber is there, and personally, I would keep all 7 defenders. I wouldn't sell anyone. I know most of you want Zinchenko to go, or some of you want Kivio to go. I would keep all 7 defenders, so that can allow us to get a midfield and forward players. But it looks like we're definitely going to get a defender. Sesko is far better than Osimhen. I don't know in terms of far better. You can say far better in terms of fitting our system, yes, but in terms of goals and a player, I think Osimhen is more. He's older. He's more. He's done it in France. He's done it in. He's played in Germany before. He's played in Italy before. He's done it a few times for Nigeria as well. So in terms of better player overall, I'd still say Osimhen. But in terms of fitting Arsenal's system, I probably think it's going to be Sesko in terms of fitting Arsenal's system, because we don't pass the ball very quickly to the striker. Osimhen wants the ball very quickly, attack immediately. For us, we go through the wings, passing a bit here and there, and the way we rotate, it wouldn't fit into our system unless we change our style of play. Cookie says Nketiah would fit a Gazza system, I reckon, but also I could see him being the big man on the end of all of those crosses created at Wolves. Wolves have never really had a striker, so I feel like Nketiah would fit in there perfectly. If he plays there with Cunha and Wang and those kind of players, I think he'd do well there. But I want them to end up at good teams. Samuel says, what is your opinion on both Smith Rowe and Eddie? I've given it. For me, I'd keep Smith Rowe for another season, but that could be because I would understand if you told me now why you just love Smith Rowe because of all this and that. That could be true. There's a bit of me that feels like 2021, 22 years really good. He's done something for us, so let's give him another chance. He's not really played a lot. But in terms of that is from a selfish point of view, from you just need to go point of view for your own career's sake. I think both of them need to go because they're not going to play, especially of these players we're being linked to. There's no chance Smith Rowe is going to play ahead of Rice. There's no chance Smith Rowe is going to play ahead of Odegaard. No chance Nketiah is going to play ahead of Havertz. No chance Nketiah is going to play ahead of Sesko, Osimhen. No chance. So for the sake of their career, I think it would be better to move on. And I'm also hearing that players like Nwaneri are going to be promoted next season. Then even more reasons for them to probably leave. But I'd keep Smith Rowe and let Nketiah go. That's what I would do. Let Atita sign Sesko. I think Sesko is better than Osimhen. Wow, Ibra says, I've seen 3 comments like that. Interesting. Samuel says, are you against Arsenal selling those 2 guys? No. No, Nketiah, I want him to go. I think it's reached time. Actually, I wanted Nketiah to go in 2021. That time he was linked to Wolves. I wanted him sold at that time. I also wanted Nelson sold at that time, but he ended up staying. He ended up doing good for himself. He ended up getting a new contract. Well done. But in terms of 3 years later, where we are trying to go, if we're just fighting for top 4 like we were for 10, 15 years, then you keep both of them without any worry if it's just top 4. But competing with Man City, where you can win 17 games out of 18 and you still don't win the league, you'll need to win 18 games out of 18, beat everyone home and away, score goals. We scored. Did you finish on the same goal difference as Man City, right? And do you know how many times we won 6-0, 6-0, 5-0, 5-0, but we're still same with Man City. So that means if you want to end up finishing on more goal difference than them, we have to beat teams 7-0, 6-0, 8-0, probably score 4 past Liverpool or Tottenham. Like we need a team. Now, as I've said, I still think Nketiah can go and score 15 plus goals in a Premier League team. I still think he's going to get the chances and score. He's going to annoy some of the fans, but he's still going to score the goals. And if they're not fighting for the title, I think some of those fans from those other teams will be like, you know what, it's fine. As long as, it hasn't really cost us, we're still 9th, not 10th. I think for a team like that, it's fine. But for us, if he plays and then misses a chance, that would have taken us top of the table, and that means Man City is now ahead of us. It would not be good for the team. It would not be good for him, because I also feel like the abuse he gets and stuff, I just think it's better for him to move on. I think it is better for Arsenal to sell Eddie Smith and Nelson. I think at least 2 of them are going to leave, probably not all 3 of them. Dennis says, hi Glenn, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Been a while. Remember last year, Declan Rice saga? I remember Declan Rice saga. I did a whole video saying we're definitely going to sign Declan Rice, and the comments are still there. Are you stupid? What the hell are you thinking? Man City are definitely going to get Declan Rice. So ever since then, I'm even more confident that even when you want to play and Man City want him, and all of those other teams want him, I'm still confident you're going to get him, because right now things have changed. But yeah, nice seeing you again, Dennis. We should buy Sesko and he can become a great under Mikel Arteta. That's another thing. Whoever we sign, I feel like they're going to be good either way. They're going to play next to Odegaard, Rice. They're going to be managed by Arteta. Set piece, they're going to be managed by Nicolas Silva. I think they're just going to be good. Man City are doing great because of the depth of their squad. That is right. The manager helps as well. The manager is really good. Osimhen is far better than Sesko. He had experience and he has played in Champions League, and he also knows how to play big games. Sesko is young. He can result flop like Nketiah. I wouldn't really say that, because you can also say that Osimhen might end up being a flop. So you have to look at it both ways. Sesko could be a flop. Osimhen could be a flop. Both of them could be. In terms of who is the better player, it's definitely Osimhen in terms of he's done it, as you've said. But in terms of fitting Arsenal's system, it's definitely Sesko, because the way we play, we don't play with one strike and just pass the ball to him. He'd end up being frustrated because we don't really pass the ball to him. We really rotate a lot. And I have this feeling like after 10 games, Arteta would be mad at him for not tracking back and defending a few times. So that could also happen. But would I take Osimhen? Oh, yeah, 100%. That would be a signing. If we sign Sesko, yes, it fit our system. I trust in Arteta to make it work. I trust in all of our players to make it work. But for players like it's a really tough one. I would trust it, but in terms of scaring the other teams, I think if Sesko joined Arsenal, I don't think Man City would be too scared. But if Osimhen joined Arsenal, I think Man City would be scared. They'd be like, oh, Arsenal have signed Osimhen. This is crazy. Arsenal are now signing Osimhen. They're being linked to Kimmich. Then teams will start respecting you even more. Why not Nketiah 50 million? We are going too far now, and we are going even farther. UCL player still young, but you're right. He has experience. He's been in a team that has fought for the Premier League title a couple of seasons. He's an FA Cup winner, so he's won a couple of things. 3-4 clubs want him, as you've said. A lot of Premier League experience as well. So could be probably if he was playing for like a Man City, they would ask for 50 million. We are never good at selling. I saw a record that in terms of Arsenal's history, the most expensive player we've signed sold is Chamberlain. 35 million. That's our record sale. 35 million, Chamberlain. You compare that to Liverpool. Liverpool sold Coutinho for 100 million plus. Chelsea sold Hazard for 100 million plus. Tottenham sold Bale, same, that kind of money. So we've never really been good at selling players. If you consider Ramsey left on a free, and he was probably one of our best players at that time. Alexis Sanchez, we could have sold him for 70 million. He left on a free. Ozil, free. Aubameyang, free. Lacazette, free. So many other players that left us on a free. So in terms of selling, we've never been great. And it's a weird one because it's different managers, it's different regimes, different boards and all that. But we've never been a good team in terms of selling players. You can even go all the way back to Van Persie. I think we sold Van Persie for like 22 million. Stupid fee, because Van Persie could have been sold for even 60 at that time. I know the market has changed. Morgan says, great work, Glenn. If Luiz is there at 50 million, you should go for him right now. I would 100% I'd get him right now. Ghana should sign Sesko and Luiz. It will be perfect for us, and says Silva. That would be great, covering two positions, and you still have enough money to spend elsewhere, like a backup for Saka. Let Partey stay and help the young players. Look at Real Madrid, Kroos, Modric, and I mean, yeah, but we can also say that those players are never injured like Partey is. That's the problem. Partey is injured a lot. The reason why people are saying Partey should be sold is not because Partey is not a good player. Partey is incredible. Like, when he came back in the last 3 games, I was like, my goodness, this guy is so good. We've really missed him this season. But he will play 5 games in a season. So next season, you can definitely not carry players. We need to have players there. We cannot carry players. We cannot afford Jesus to be injured 3 times, Zinchenko to be injured 3 times, Tomias to be injured 3 times, Partey to be injured 3 times. We cannot afford that. We need our players. Champions League, more games. I don't want us to be eliminated from the Carabao Cup in the first round again. I want us to go farther in those competitions. So, and competing with those teams, we need a squad. You need a squad. But yeah, you're right in terms of experience. Partey can help, but some will tell you maybe Jorginho is there for that particular reason, experience. So I still don't know if Partey is 100% going to stay. What we've been told is Partey wants to stay, and Arteta doesn't really want to sell him. So that is kind of pointing out to him staying. But who knows? If Saudi Arabia comes in today and says we have 50 million, I think it's definitely going to be sold. If Partey goes, we should buy 2 midfielders, Neves and Onana. I would go with... If it's 2 of them, I would take it. In terms of Partey leaves and then you just get Onana, no, I don't think Onana replaces Partey. If Partey goes and then you get Onana and Neves, I would be happy with that if you get 2 midfielders. So probably that's how good I think Partey is, that I need 2 midfielders to replace him. Dan says, nice seeing you, Dan. Thank you for always commenting. Hopefully, we can get some big sales done. We need 5 or 6 top quality players that really push for starting 11 place. And the only way we can do that is selling a lot of the fringe players. Yeah, you're not going to get 78 million from those players, but if you can, gather, if you can get the 30 million from Nketiah, 30 million for Smith Rowe, Ramsdale, I don't know. We want 30 million for him as well. If you can get those players in that amount of money, Tierney, Lokonga will be sold. Tavares is here. So if you can, it's easy to say. If you can get 100 million, it's easy to say, but it's going to take time, especially if those teams feel like, okay, well, we don't really need to buy them right now. We'll come back for Smith Rowe in August. That could be a problem as well. But yeah, we really need 5 or 6 top quality players to really push for starting 11, as you said. The football formation says I'm a Nigerian, but if I choose between Sesko and Osimhen, I'll go Sesko. Osimhen is overrated and injury prone. I don't think he's overrated. A player that can get 20 plus goals and still score 17 goals in a bad season where Napoli wasn't great and he was injured and he had to go to AFCON. I know he wasn't great in terms of the African Cup last year, but still, his team reached the final. Still, Nigeria reached the final. And he's still a very good player. He still contributes to a lot of stuff. And he's done it in a couple of countries as well. I don't think he's overrated. That's the same thing I said about Declan Rice last season, because people are saying Declan Rice is overrated. And I was like, no, don't use the word overrated. He's not overrated. You can use the word overpriced, but not overrated. Now, I think people have changed their mind on Declan Rice. No one is saying Declan Rice is overrated anymore. Osimhen can definitely come and get you goals. I think if you had to ask me who's guaranteed more to come and get you 20 goals, I would say Osimhen. But I'm not sure how well it fit into the system. That's the problem. It's always a risk. Injury prone is a different thing. Injuries you have to definitely worry about. You don't want players to be injured all through. We need fit players. We already have Zinchenko, Jesus, Tomiyasu, and Partey who always get injured. We don't really want to add a fifth. He'll also play with the mask. I think he plays with that throughout. Which one possible now? Douglas Luiz, Osimhen, Sesko. I would still say Sesko would be the first one. I'm actually going to do another video after this because I can see Sesko news in terms of offer. How much is Douglas Luiz? I prefer him to Bruno Guimaraes, says Dauda. This Aston Villa want 50 million euros for him. So 50 million euros is around 40 million pounds. I think that's a good fee. I think I would take him 100%. I wouldn't even think twice about it. Let me take 3 or 4 more comments. AJ says Ramsey will not leave right line. I would keep him because that allows us to focus on other positions. I would keep Zinchenko, I'd keep Ramsdale, I'd keep Kivio. Forget about defense, forget about the goalkeeper. I wouldn't play Zinchenko up front, or I wouldn't play Zinchenko against Liverpool or Man City at left back now. But I would probably try and use him more in midfield and games like a couple of games at left back. But that allows us to focus on the other positions. Let's get a midfielder, let's get a striker, let's get a winger. But the way it's going, I think he could leave. So last part of that, you've brought up the goalkeeper. AJ, let's read this on Rare. So Rare will sign a contract, as Fabrizio has reported. Arsenal are expected to proceed with formal steps to activate 27 million buy option clause for David Raya in the next days. No changes. Plan confirmed since day one. He's staying and is going to be Arsenal's goalkeeper. So you already know we have a number 1 goalkeeper. So I think it's kind of up to Ramsdale. Are you happy to stay next season? And hopefully, because the bad thing for Turner and Ramsdale and players like Nelson and Smith Rowe, the sad part is that we've gone out in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup very early the last 3-4 years, so they've never really got to play the Europa League as well. We went very early out early against Sporting. If you're in those competitions, they probably get more game time. Now I want us to do well in those competitions. We've been also unlucky. I don't. I kind of agree with some of you who say Arteta doesn't approach those competitions well. But then if you look at those games, we lost twice to Man City and twice to Liverpool. You can lose to those teams any day. I don't think that's it's criminal like to lose to Man City in an FA Cup 4th round. It could happen away from home. The Liverpool one this year definitely hurt going out early. We had a lot of chances, but you can always go out to Liverpool. Those two teams you can leave. The ones that really disappointed me was the one we went out against Southampton, FA Cup. I think that was 2021. And there was one against Nottingham Forest, I think the year later, and the one against Brighton 2 seasons ago at home in the Carabao Cup just before the World Cup. The one against West Ham last year was also a weird one. But those three games, you should have gone far. So these players never really get time to play. If we can promise Ramsdale that, listen, we are going to go far in these competitions. You're going to be the goalkeeper in the FA Cup. You're going to be the goalkeeper in the Carabao Cup. You're going to play at least 10 games, and then maybe you're going to use you in a couple of games the Champions League. I think he'd be happy to stay because either way, even if he was on the bench, he still goes to England. So that could be a benefit for him because Southgate still picks him even if he doesn't play because he knows his qualities. But that's from a selfish point of view. From a point of view, I still think he's a very good goalkeeper. I think it'd be better for him to like move on and play another team. Sayo says Bruno Guimaraes is perfect for Arsenal. You're right. But I didn't even realize the comments were in, like that small this whole time. This is how it should be. I've just realized at the end of the stream. Let's see. Good to catch you on live. Appreciate it, Dan, as always. We're going to do the live streams every single day. Not this time, but earlier because the Euros will be being played at this time. I think even England is playing. I didn't even know England was playing today. Ramsdale read that one. So we'll be doing live streams every single day. There's the morning show with Cozy every single day, and then a couple of videos through the day, and then a live stream. Football Formation says we need a sound midfielder like Bruno who can do both 8 and 6. Let's spend big there and get Sesko. So that is what I meant by priority as well. I meant spend big in midfield and then get a striker as well as a second option. That is what I would do. I will need a midfielder. That's the spine of your team. How about news posted by the Football Terror saying that Chelsea are trying to snatch Sesko just like what they did with Mudryk? Yeah, Chelsea wants Sesko and also Fred. Chelsea wants Sesko and also Man United wants Sesko, but Man United already have Højlund there. For Chelsea, personally, as I said, I believed in Arsenal getting Rice ahead of Man City, so I'm not scared of Chelsea or Man United in terms of beating Arsenal to a player. The only way Chelsea can get Sesko is if at 10 they don't really want Sesko that much, and maybe the media's made it look like Arsenal really want Sesko. Or maybe if Arsenal decide, okay, we forget about Sesko, you're going to get Osimhen, then Chelsea can get him. The only other way is if they go and offer Sesko and Leipzig right now 70 million. Forget about the release clause. Let's pay 70 million. If that's the case, let them get him. I wouldn't really pay 70 million for Sesko. Magambi says you should also sign Bakayoko from PSV. Saka, Baka, Glenn, how do you rate Bakayoko? Says Magambi. 2 weeks ago, we did a video Cozy on his channel talking about dream signings. This was before we were linked to Bakayoko, and I said my first dream signing was Bakayoko. And then 1 week later, we heard that Arsenal wants Bakayoko, and I was like, really? I would 100% take him. A backup for Saka, quick left footer like him. He can score goals. I even have the stats in my head. I think he scored 14 goals and 14 assists this season. That is because I've really looked at him the last 2 months. I saw him playing very good games against Arsenal 4 times. I would get Bakayoko. So the only way you can get Bakayoko, though, and Douglas Luiz is if you get Sesko and forget about Osimhen. If you haven't checked it out, the previous video before this, 2 hours ago, was about Sesko and also Osimhen. So if you want updates on that, make sure to check that one out. It will be live again tomorrow. There's usually a video in the morning, a live in the morning, and a live at this particular time. Maybe, let's say 2 hours before this. I'd be doing a live stream like 2 hours before this. So, and that particular time I'll do the live stream tomorrow. That's the time I'll be doing it every single day so that you guys know the exact time. But for now, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.